Hello and welcome to this edition of Race to Power. I'm Ananya Datta. Let's start talking elections. We're asking an important question to Israel tonight. Will the war end Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's political career? You see, thousands have gathered over the weekends hurling rocks and bracing water cannons, all to ask Netanyahu to step down. The question is, will it come to that? In Turkiye too, the incumbent is staring at low approval ratings, but for different reasons. Recep Tayyip Erdogan's party candidates have lost in most local elections. Making matters worse, this is going to have national ramifications for the party and for the man himself. Historically speaking, wars are great for leaders' popularity. Be that George W. Bush after Iraq's invasion, or more recently, Volodymyr Zelensky after Russia's attack. However, Benjamin Netanyahu has been the odd man out. There are opinion polls, oppositions pointing fingers, and the worst, voters on the streets. This is what happened over the weekend in Jerusalem. Protesters blocked a highway, built bonfires, and lit up red flares, all asking for Benjamin Netanyahu's government to resign immediately. Police used skunk water, a foul-smelling substance, to disperse the demonstrators. Similar scuffles broke out in Tel Aviv. Two separate demonstrations joined each other. One demanded the government to step down and the other called for the immediate release of hostages. You see, the issues are many. Security lapse over Hamas's October 8th attack, failing to bring back all captured hostages, and exempting ultra-Orthodox Jews from military service. Unexpectedly, the war has pushed people to demand the removal of Israel's longest-serving prime minister. Critics say the protesters have forgotten that the real enemy is Hamas and not Netanyahu. However, the protesters disagree.
And we will relentlessly fight, legally of course, to have him removed from power and get someone else that can do the job and worthy of the situation that can bring our beloved ones back. Until then, Benjamin Netanyahu is the main obstacle.
Now, rather than solving the grassroots level issues, Netanyahu is trying to silence those who are questioning him. He has called for the Knesset to pass a law to close down foreign news networks in Israel. If passed, the law will effectively pause most anti-government reporting in the country. That will further distort the real ratings of the Prime Minister. As protests continue, Netanyahu has ruled out early elections. The man has been a political survivor. Time and again, he has resurrected his career. But the way the war is being handled, many wonder if this war will be the end of Netanyahu's political run. Now, Turkiye held local elections on Sunday. Its results have national ramifications for the country. There are two big takeaways: how the voters are choosing the opposition over the government, and how one man from Istanbul is emerging as President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's next rival.
Turkiye's local election was the perfect litmus test to judge the country's political mood. The opposition claimed victories riding on this man. Istanbul's Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu cruised to re-election, beating the president's party candidate.
I am very happy. This is a victory that came very late, but okay, let's say we are thankful for this too. At the end, there has been a very unsuccessful government for 22 years, and I think people have now found the right way.
The verdict meant that the capital city Ankara and 9 other mayoral seats in large cities do not have an Erdogan-friendly face. These local elections have ramifications at the national level too. Recep Tayyip Erdogan has held power in Turkey for nearly 2 decades. But economic woes are raising questions on his future.
I am someone who has voted for the current government for 15 years. We didn't vote for them in yesterday's election, obviously due to the economic conditions and the promises that were not kept.
For Erdogan, the results indicate 2 challenges. One, that voters are frustrated with the central government. And 2, İmamoğlu is fast rising as a potential presidential rival. Ironically, İmamoğlu is following Erdogan's footsteps to defeat him. Their political graphs are shockingly similar. Where they differ is their politics. İmamoğlu is from the staunchly secularist CH party, but he appeals to the secular and conservative voters alike. Defeating Erdogan's AK party twice is testament to that. After winning the Sunday polls, İmamoğlu said, and I quote, "Those who do not understand the nation's message will eventually lose," unquote. A message that was clearly directed at the president.
March 31st is not an end for us, but a turning point. The Turkish nation has conveyed its messages to politicians by using the ballot box in this March 31st municipal elections.
Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Let's shift focus to India now. A tiny island between India and Sri Lanka in the Pork Strait has become the reason for a major political storm between the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party and the opposition in India. Doubling down on the Prime Minister's charge against the Congress and the DMK, the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said that Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first Prime Minister, saw the Kacha Thifu Island as a source of nuisance and simply did not care if it went to Sri Lanka. While in 1976, the Maritime Boundary Agreement delimiting the Gulf of Mannar and the Bay of Bengal gave away India's fishing rights too. Earlier on Sunday, Narendra Modi cited a media report to assert that new facts had revealed that the Congress party callously gave away Kacha Thifu Island to Sri Lanka. The Prime Minister also hit out and what he called double standards of the DMK for doing nothing to safeguard interests of the state of Tamil Nadu and those of the fishermen community. The report is based on a right to information reply Tamil Nadu BJP President K. Annamalai received on the decision of Indira Gandhi's government in 1974. Rebutting the BJP, DMK said that it was out and out against giving away Kacha Thifu to the neighbouring country. The Congress was also quick to counter Prime Minister. Mallikarjun Kharge said that under the BJP government, 111 enclaves from India were transferred to Bangladesh and 55 enclaves came to India. In 1974, the Congress chief said a similar agreement based on a friendly gesture was initiated with another country, Sri Lanka, on Kacha Thifu. An observation by Prime Minister Nehru in May of 1961, Jaishankar said, "I attach no importance at all to this little island and I would have no hesitation in giving up our claim to it. I do not like matters like this pending indefinitely and being raised again and again in the parliament."
We have repeatedly, this issue, Kacha Thifu issue and the fishermen's issue, has been repeatedly raised by various parties, by all parties, I would say. As I mentioned, in Parliament it has come up as Parliament question, it has come up in debates, it has been raised in the Consultative Committee, and in fact, Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu has written to me numerous times, and my record shows that to the current Chief Minister, I have myself replied 21 times on this issue.
In the last 10 years, you were here in power. What have you done? Why the BJP is evading this question? The Prime Minister says, rhetoric aside, if we put aside rhetoric, there is nothing in the BJP. BJP is only full of rhetoric. That is the irony in today's tweet by the Prime Minister.
Traditionally, the island was frequented by Indian fishermen as per the Institute of Peace and Conflict Studies. The ceding of Kathathivu to Sri Lanka was a political decision taken by two prime ministers. The 1974 agreement, while ceding Kathathivu to Sri Lanka, protected the traditional fishing rights enjoyed by Indian fishermen to fish in and around the island. Now, these traditional rights were also given away when the Maritime Boundary Agreement was signed in the year 1976. Tax authorities in India would not take any coercive action against the principal opposition party till the end of the upcoming general elections. The Income Tax Department has assured the Supreme Court of India that it will take no steps to recover the dues from Congress party till end of polls. The income tax has served notice to the Congress for the recovery of approximately $35 billion or about $420 million. The Supreme Court was hearing the appeals filed by the Congress challenging the demands made by the IT department. The court recorded the IT department's assurance and posted the matter for the next hearing on July 24th. The fresh tax notices for the Congress party related to assessment years 2014-15, 2015-16 and 2016-17. The authorities had ended the tax exemption available to political parties and had taxed the party for gross receipt based on a Delhi High Court order of March 2016. The Congress has challenged the High Court order that gross receipt was taxable. The assurance from the IT department comes amid the allegation of quote-unquote tax terrorism, which the Congress party has levelled against the ruling BJP. The Congress had raised the issue that the slew of tax notices issued on the eve of the Lok Sabha polls would tilt the level playing field in favour of the ruling BJP. Now, India's grand old party, the Indian National Congress, was the ruling party in India for the longest time. But for the last 10 years, it has been sitting in the opposition benches and crediting itself as the principal opposition party. But is it really the principal rival to the BJP, or has that status been eroded?
With 48 elected lawmakers, the Indian National Congress is the second largest party in the lower house of the Indian Parliament. The Congress also rules the maximum number of states after the Bharatiya Janata Party. But is that enough for the Congress to claim that it is the main opposition party in the country? This is what the numbers show. Out of 543 seats in the Lok Sabha, the Congress controls just 48. That is less than 10% of the total seats. The ruling BJP boasts 290 members at present. At number 3, we have the DMK with 24 seats, all from Tamil Nadu, just 24 behind the Congress. Followed by the Trinamool Congress with 22 seats. Again, all the elected representatives of the TMC are from the state of West Bengal. What does that tell us? The number of lawmakers from strong regional parties are only a handful less than the Congress. However, the regional parties are a force to reckon with in their respective states. Ahead of the upcoming general elections, Congress, along with other regional and smaller parties, came together to form the Indian National Developmental and Inclusive Alliance, or India in short. Given the presence of strong regional parties in the bloc, it came as no surprise when Congress made peace with acting as a junior partner in some states. For instance, in the state of Bihar, Congress is contesting on just 9 out of 40 seats, while the dominant state party, the RJD, is contesting on 26. Similarly, in Uttar Pradesh as well, out of the 80 seats in total, the Congress is not expected to contest on more than 15 seats. Here, the dominant Samajwadi Party is getting the lion's share of seats. The story in Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra is no different. But in states like Punjab and West Bengal, the dominant parties did not allow even a single seat for the Congress. The Grand Old Party is now contesting alone in these states. Coming back to our initial question, is the Congress the main opposition party in India? Well, the answer is still yes. Because in other states like Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Karnataka, the Congress is the main rival to the BJP. The regional parties are not major players. But let's not forget that these states are strongholds of the BJP. And the Congress may not get significant numbers, even if it contests alone on all seats in these states. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
The European Union is set to elect its new parliament this June. The stakes are high. The 27-nation bloc is witnessing tough challenges amid issues like war, migration, economic hurdles and furious farmers. It is expected that the bloc will witness a big political shift. Polls predict that Europe's nationalist and Eurosceptic parties will win a record number of votes. They will significantly challenge the mainstream parties that currently dominate the parliament. The voters are reportedly seeking a change as these parties have failed to shield households from inflation, curb migration or provide better healthcare. From 6th to 9th June, polling will take place separately in all 27 nations to select over 700 members of the bloc for a 5-year term. The EU Parliament proposes laws, manages the budget, implements the decisions that shape lives across the continent. This year's election could be a major turning point for the EU far right. They're expected to gain a significant increase in seats. Looking at the country-wise prospects, in Italy, Giorgia Meloni's right-wing party is leading in polls. In France, it's the anti-EU party led by Marine Le Pen. In Germany, the far-right AfD is gaining momentum. And in Portugal, it is Chega. Looking at the trend, for the very first time, it is expected that a populist right coalition of conservatives and radical right could emerge with a ruling majority. However, this is still just conjecture. EU's right wing is not all united. There are cracks and some are out in the open. One such rift is between Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and France's opposition figure Le Pen. As per reports, a coalition between the two is not expected due to their stark differences. So much so that Meloni finds the comparison between her and Le Pen infuriating. Both the leaders have different strategies. Meloni wants to maximize Italian influence within Europe by collaborating with EU institutions and not fighting them. Le Pen believes that current members, including Macron, are failing the people of the continent. Just last Saturday, she challenged the Italian Premier to clarify if she would back EU chief Ursula von der Leyen for a second term. Meloni has sought to reassure markets and international partners of adopting a pro-business, pro-trade approach. However, Le Pen has always advocated more protectionist measures. Analysts say that the lack of coherent policies among EU's right-wing leader on a range of issues can weaken their influence in the parliament. Now, Mali has been under coup since May 2021, and now patience is waning for the country's sidelined political leadership. As of late Sunday evening, Mali's main political parties and several civil society groups have issued a joint statement urging the country's military junta to establish a framework for elections. And soon, according to reports, over 20 signatories attested a statement which said that all legal and legitimate avenues will be used to enable the return of normal constitutional order in the country. So far, Mali's military junta has not responded to the letter. The development comes months after Mali's military rulers had promised to hold elections in February of 2022, but they failed to deliver. The delay in long-awaited elections prompted ECOWAS, which is West Africa's main political and economic body, to briefly slam sanctions on the country. When Mali fell under military rule in 2021, the junta leaders had promised that within 24 months from March 2022, they would conduct elections and restore civilian rule. The junta leaders also passed a new electoral law in June of 2022, but elections were postponed to February this year, sparking outrage. Yet again, political parties are crying foul after the March deadline also passed. Meta, the parent company of Facebook, has announced a significant change that could impact how misinformation is tracked online. The tech giant has decided to shut down CrowdTangle, which is a tool used by journalists and researchers to monitor social media activity. CrowdTangle is set to stop working on August 14th, just months before the US presidential elections. Now, this move by Meta is the latest example of how tech companies are scaling back transparency and security measures during what's expected to be the biggest global election year in history. Instead of CrowdTangle, Meta plans to introduce a new tool called the Content Library API. However, access to this tool will require researchers and non-profit to apply for permission to use Meta's data. While Meta claims the new tool will offer more comprehensive data than CrowdTangle, many civil society organizations are not convinced. They argue that the content library lacks many of CrowdTangle's essential features and have requested Meta to keep the original tool operational until January of 2025. In a year where elections are taking place in dozens of countries, bad actors are ready to spread false narratives now more than ever. According to the research head of a UK-based think tank battling disinformation, cutting off access to CrowdTangle will severely limit independent oversight of harms. It represents a grave step backwards for social media platform transparency. Meta spokesperson has defended the decision, stating that the content library will provide valuable data. However, commercial newsrooms will not have access to the new tool. Not just them, independent researchers and non-profits may face challenges in obtaining access to Meta's new fast-checking tool. Meanwhile, Meta remains firm in its stance, insisting that the content library will offer more comprehensive data. And with that, we're wrapping up this edition of Race to Power. Thanks for watching with me, Ananya Datta. Goodbye.
Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I should push myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
WION Health Resort is